Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Two Toe Tags and Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our album review of The Tide of Death and Fractured Dreams by Ingested. So we've been listening to this album nonstop for an entire week straight, and I will say that I enjoyed it. The last time we reviewed this band was 4 years ago, or just about, with Where Only Gods May Tread.
Right.
And I liked that album too. But this one of the biggest things that really stands out about this album, and I mentioned this last week, was that it's, in the deathcore realm, but it's not sounding samey like a lot of what we see in that genre pool as of late.
Like some bands just kind of don't really push the boundaries kind of thing.
They either don't push a boundary or they kind of just do one song like 8 times for their album.
Yeah,
But that is not the case here.
Yeah.
I find this band, specifically with this album, is leaning a little bit more into the recent trend that the deathcore pool has been going towards, a bit more of a melodic or emotional thing.
Yeah.
And one thing I kind of like about that, well, I just like that in general, but one thing that's really cool about it is that all these bands do it in a different way. They have their own kind of spin on it. The way that Fit for an Autopsy does it is not the same as the way Whitechapel does it, is not the same as how this band is doing it.
Right.
So
okay, yeah.
I think that's pretty cool, and it makes them all unique in that way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some songs. I'm just going to talk about first a song called Where No Light Shines. In the middle of this song, there's a guitar run that happens in the background. First few notes are the Dies Irae theme, which is a very old poem turned musical piece, which is used in like a lot of media, a lot of movies. It's kind of like the Wilhelm scream of music.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
And I thought it was awesome that they lifted this. For it, it's synonymous with, the day of wrath and usually with death. Mm-hmm. So super duper awesome touch, something that you don't usually see, but it's the kind of thing where once you start noticing it, you're gonna hear it everywhere. Mm-hmm. So once you hear that with this song, you'll probably hear it in a lot of the movies that you watch.
Right.
So another song I really liked was A Path Once Lost. That is the closing track of this album. I feel like it kind of takes what they were building towards with other songs in the album and brings them all to a head. Mm-hmm. Because you have a track like Numinous, which we did talk about last week, being this instrumental midpoint, which is a super beautiful song. I still love it today. So you take something like that and you take the aggression of the other songs, you put those together and you get A Path Once Lost.
Right.
I think it's really cool that it built up to that moment.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's a great way to close the album. So if we're gonna talk about the other side of that coin though, the harder side, In Nothingness, amazing song. It comes right after Numinous, and I think, at first I was thinking to myself, like, is this just like, does it hit harder just because Numinous had this emotional thing? So then I just put on In Nothingness by itself, and no, the song just goes that hard. And there's a shot that they do during the groove where they just stop for a second, and then they come back with the double kick playing. Mm-hmm. Super awesome, super killer. Every single time that happens, like, yeah, that's awesome. Just excited every time to hear that groove. But I found a bit of a 3-song stretch. It wasn't like the strongest of 3-song stretches, but Starve the Fire into Numinous into In Nothingness was a pretty strong pack of the album for me.
Okay.
Starve the Fire is where they start to introduce some of the clean stuff with just a little bit in the chorus, and then you get the track with afterwards, which is Numinous, and that starts to develop more, which is cool how it develops throughout the album. I was reminded a little bit of Lethargica by Meshuggah with this song, and I think a big part of it is because the main groove starts on the same note, and it kind of has a similar drum groove where you have the drummer, playing all 4 on a cymbal on top of a syncopated groove, which is, the tried and true strategy of playing something syncopated but still being able to dance or headbang or whatever to it.
Keeping it grounded, yeah.
Exactly. So those 3 was kind of like the pack there.
That's your highlight of the album, that middle chunk
essentially, there, yeah. Even though overall the songs were quite enjoyable, and I like that it wasn't just super duper fast whatever the entire time. They would break it up, they'd have more simple stuff going on, and I think a song like Paragon of Purity is a really good example of that. We mentioned that, I believe, when we reacted to that song, when I had a video. And I even think we may have mentioned it last week, perhaps, that it's like that song is like straightforward. There's no wild anything. It's like just some straight up good metal.
Yeah, it's almost like an introduction of what you're gonna get from the album.
Yeah,
That's kind of like the perfect opening track as far as I'm concerned.
That's a good way to
Like,
put it.
you're gonna get stuff that's a little heavier, you're gonna get stuff that's a little bit lighter. This is kind of right down the middle, but like you're in for something.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's a banger too, right out of the gate, so that helps a lot too.
For sure.
So yeah, I do agree with the points you made about this album kind of taking a route like some other of the deathcore bands. I think one of the things that sets this apart is because of their slam elements that they have in here. It definitely makes them, it gives them a uniqueness in that regard. I would definitely put them in the deathcore pool. Slamcore, I heard somebody call them before. I would agree with that term if you wanted to amalgamate genres, subgenres, whatever. But yeah, they're definitely doing things to stand out, and that's something we appreciate. Before I get into the songs that I liked on the album, there was a couple that I wasn't the fondest of, so I want to get those out of the way. The first one is Endless Machine. Okay, Endless Machine is a song that I tried to really like, and it's not a bad song. Can't say anything really negative about it, but it just comes and goes, same old stuff. There's really nothing special about it.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat about that song. It wasn't a bad song by any means, but every time I tried to focus on it, it never really, I couldn't really take anything away from it, right?
Right.
Especially compared to other tracks where there is quite a bit to take away.
Exactly. Another one that, and this is surprising to me because you mentioned it as one of your highlight songs, is Starve the Fire.
Oh.
So I think Starve the Fire is also one of the weaker songs on the album, mostly because of the placement of it on the album. I think its placement hurts it. Because it's a more melodic and it's a slower song, I clocked it at one of the lower BPMs on the album. Having it right before Numinous, which is kind of like a slower but more mellowed out instrumental, I feel like having those back to back was probably a mistake as far as track placement goes. And if I had to choose either of those songs, Numinous would be my pick because I think it's a great instrumental. I really enjoy it.
If you were to replace like where Starve the Fire would go, like where would you replace it to?
That's difficult because what I'm about to start talking about is my song stretch, and I wouldn't want this to break up that song stretch. So, the best place for it, honestly, would probably be to just reverse track 4 and track 5. So basically put it at track 4, put Expect to Fail at track 5. That way you have a little bit more of a contour like this, and less like this, and then a plateau, and then like this. If that makes any sense. But yeah, I don't know. It was one of those songs, again, it's not a horrible song. It's not bad by any means. It's got some cool stuff, and I like the harmonized lines in the chorus, if not for the uniqueness of it on its own. But yeah, with Numinous directly after, I feel like that just hurts its performance on the album. So either way, get those out of the way. Now, after that, you have Numinous, which is great, but then you have In Nothingness, Pantheon, Kingdom of Sand, and A Path Once Lost. What a stretch that is. Songs 7 through 10, basically the last chunk of the album, last third of the album.
Yeah, almost half.
Is fucking stellar. Like, you talked about In Nothingness already. I don't even know where to start with this song. The riffs on this song are so nasty. It actually beckoned back to the song that actually got me into this band, which was Impending Dominance, off of Where Only Gods May Tread, and I think that was the first song we actually reacted to from this band, if I'm not mistaken. And just the riffs on both those songs to me are very similar in the way that they just make you headbang, like just really throw down headbang. Really love that. It's got Mark Hunter from Chimera on it, and I'm listening to the song, I'm going, I don't hear Mark on here. Like, which part is Mark doing? Is he doing the cleans and the chorus? Is he doing, some of the harshes? I couldn't think of it. So I actually went back and listened to The Impossibility of Reason. It's been some time, but that album holds up, holy shit. And I still couldn't figure it out because, I don't know. But either way, I do like that there's different vocal styles on there. I like that there's some variety there. It really helps, change things up. Skipping over Pantheon for a second, you talked about A Path Once Lost a little bit. I think that's a great closer already. I'm not going to elaborate on that a little bit more. Kingdom of Sand, though, this was one of my highlights through the whole week. This song's just so great. The ending of this song is just fucking awesome because when the double bass kicks in and it just rides it for like a minute or so of this super fast double bass, fades out on it, it's just so fucking good. The riffs are nasty. The grooves on the song are awesome. The middle of the song has this really cool breakdown style thing, but it also maintains a groove aspect, which is cool too. Like there's so much cool stuff happening, man. I just love it. And the worst thing about it though is this is the least played song on Spotify of this album. That to me is criminal because to me it's one of the highlights of the album is Kingdom of Sand. Definitely slept on for people who are not listening to it. I don't know why.
And you know, like when you fade out on something like that, like he's playing for longer than what you actually hear.
Yeah.
If you're gonna fade out on something, that's
Right.
like, okay, keep playing, like, hey, we'll fade it out here.
Yeah.
So to play for that long at that speed is very impressive.
Yeah, and it's consistent, it's tight, it's just clean, it's just really, really nice. Sounds really good. But yeah, I like the album a lot. And the song that really like grew on me over the week, that I started out thinking like, and this is another like meh song, but it just grew and grew and grew, is Pantheon. Fuck man, I love Pantheon. It's so good. And I think the highlight of this song is the vocal performance. I really love, at the beginning, there's just a breath, like, I like when songs start out like that.
Sick.
I love that. And then he does, I don't know the lyrics, but he does a line, and then the second lines are really high, harsh. Like you can tell the vocal cords are just tight. Like really high, almost like he's tearing. It just sounds so sick. I love the pre-chorus of this song. Violence.
Yeah.
Begets violence. Love that. Just fucking oomph. And then, one thing I don't like about it is the first verse is repeated 2 times, like the same lyrics.
Like exactly
the same lyrics. So I thought that was a little like, man, whatever, but the chorus is followed by a series of these cool drum fills. Breakdowns nasty. Just fucking ace of a song. Ace of a song. Paragon of Pure we talked about already. The songs that were kind of middle ground for me was Where No Light Shines and Expect to Fail. So those 2 songs, which is tracks 3 and 4 on the album. Expect to Fail actually features Josh Middleton of Silosis. This song I felt had some uniqueness to it. I felt like this song's more melodic. It had kind of a forward-moving energy, which I thought was cool. Some more groove-oriented passages, contrasting the slam passages you kind of get from the other songs. It gets me moving, but there's just not a lot memorable about it. Like when I'm trying to write notes about it, I was having trouble really going, what parts really stand out? Like the whole song is good, but what's really standing out here? And there wasn't a lot of it. So I like it more than Endless Machine, but it just didn't reach the level that some of the other tracks did.
I'm in a similar boat on that song. I listened to it, I'm like, yeah, this is good, I like it, but it's not like overly awesome like other tracks on this album, but it's still a good track.
I also like that Josh had vocal and guitar presence on the song, because you definitely hear Silosis style guitaring, and Josh's vocals are on there as well. So I like that he was contributing both of those aspects. That was cool too. So yeah, overall I had a pretty good week.
Well, with that being said, let's get to rating this album, and I will start it off saying, the last time, you know, like I said, the last time we reviewed this band was 4 years ago with Where Only Gods May Tread, and I believe, if I recall correctly, I gave that a toe tag, and I thought it was great. This album, I feel like, is really pushing in a cool direction for this band, and it's always cool to see bands dip their toes in evolution as such, you know, getting a bit more melodic while still retaining the aggressive presence that they have. So the album was a lot of fun for me over the week. I found a lot of cool, memorable moments. It's gonna get my toe tag. So
interesting. Yeah, I didn't give the last album, Where Only Gods May Tread. It's not the last album, it's the last one we reviewed.
The last one we reviewed,
I didn't give it a toe tag. I gave it like a 7, I think, or maybe a 7.5. Like it was pretty close.
It was really close. So
and just for context, an 8 or up is a toe tag. So
it was right there. But can they redeem it with this album from Vile Self's rating?
I don't know. That's a lot of pressure there. But anyways, so as I'm reviewing this album, I happened to come across a review that I decided to read online. It was an Angry Metal Guy. Right?
Okay.
You might be familiar with Angry Metal Guy. I don't normally read reviews and stuff like that. I just happened to see the link, so I was like, oh, I'm interested. Clicked it, right? I typically hate how these reviews are written. It's just like word vomit, pretentious, like trying hard to explain how things sound and stuff. I just hate it. But anyways, I read it, And what I got from it was that they were disappointed in this album because they felt like Ingested didn't do enough to be different, or that they played it safe, or they kind of stayed in their own lane too much. That's kind of what I got from the review. They gave it a 2 out of 5. Okay? Yeah.
What?
I disagree with that. I think Ingested did just enough at this point in time to stand out. And the reason I make an emphasis on that is because it's very important for bands to evolve.
Yeah,
okay?
of course.
I think everybody can agree that bands need to evolve at a certain point. And if you evolve too much at once, you split your fan base. You're gonna have fans that go, this is way too different, I don't like this anymore. Then you're gonna have fans that go, hey, I like this new stuff, that's pretty good. Splitting the fan base. What Ingested did is they sprinkled a little bit of things here and there. Well, let's get a little bit more melodic here. Let's do a little bit of clean vocals here. Let's try this little thing here and that little thing there. So what that does is it doesn't split the fan base, but older fans might listen to it and go, well, that's kind of a weird aspect there. I still like the song, but what's that clean vocals there? That's a little bit weird. But the more they listen to it, the more they'll get used to it, and then they'll start liking it. And they kind of warm up to it. That, in my opinion, is the proper way to introduce new things to your fan base and to grow as a band. So we don't really know where Ingested is heading with their sound at this point. But as someone who tries to find a certain quality of creativity when reviewing albums, I feel like The Tide of Death and Fractured Dreams is a step in the right direction, and I will give this album my toe tag for that reason. Because it is solid, and there's no bad songs, there's a lot of really great songs, and I do really appreciate it. I think it should be credited to bands that do take little steps out of their comfort zone. And if other reviewers don't think it's enough, too bad. I do, TV Fish does, so this is a great album. It's going on the list.
Congratulations, Ingested, for making it onto the 2 toe tags list. Finally. I mean, they didn't get it the first time, but...
And we missed the last album, too.
Yeah.
Ashes Lie Still.
Ashes Lie Still. I believe we covered it in the first impressions, but we didn't
review
it.
Yeah.
So, that's awesome. I mean, it's also crazy to think that this is the first new release of this year to make it onto the list.
That's true. We haven't given an album 2 toe tags this year yet. This is the first one.
Like, there's been some that, he did, I didn't, he didn't, whatnot, but
this is actually my first toe tag of the year.
Is it really?
Of new releases, yeah.
Of new releases? Wow.
Of new releases. This is my first toe tag of 2024. So that just goes to show you how I felt about albums so far this year. I've given it one or two 7.5s. Like, it's been pretty close a couple times. But this one, there you go. It's there.
Anyway, guys, that's all we got for you today. Remember to like this video if you'd like to. Tell us in the comments below, do you like this album? Do you like it more or less than other Ingested releases? We love to hear what you guys have to say, and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
We'll see you guys later.